You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Archer After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Archer After Show.
Yes.
Hello, Internet. It is good, so good to be back.
We're back.
Bing is for doing, and we here are doing AFTERBUZZ TV episode of Archer.
Season 4, episode 1, entitled Fugue and Riffs.
And how nice is it that we get to start with the intro to the show now? It totally makes it.
Oh, sounds so beautiful.
Now I feel like what we have to like up our game, fight some Russians or Barry.
What says that we haven't been already?
That's a good point.
I mean, we just all need to act like Archer and all be total douches and egotistical and make random references that most people wouldn't get.
I'm already drunk.
I won't have to act then, though.
It's already there. There we are.
So
Speaking of egos, everyone, let's make sure that we get our names out there. I am Greg Goodness.
I am John Barrett.
I'm Dave Klein.
I'm Scott Moore.
And I'm Stephen Lemieux.
That's Stan.
You guys may have noticed we have a beautiful new addition to the table. Those of you who are watching us, we have a lovely, lovely takeout duck, courtesy of Steve. Beautiful. Bravo.
I know.
It's
I
very,
just
very
had to
nice.
save my
Well done.
leftovers from the Lotus Palace or whatever, you know.
And I expect this to stay all season.
I hope it can.
It's not moving.
Please.
You know what? It's not moving at all. All the other shows have to deal with it.
As long as Phil doesn't mind having his measuring cup inside of a tin goose, and as long as you guys don't tell that his measuring cup is inside.
What makes you think Phil knows how to cook? Or, for that matter, read a measuring cup?
That's a very good point, John, and I think that's our first topic.
That's right. Our first topic is Phil is illiterate. Our second topic is the timeline in this episode of Archer.
Well, like one would measure out flour with a measuring cup, we have to measure time. And in this episode,
What do you use to
What a
measure
transition.
time?
a clock, or in Archer's case, nothing at all, because we open up in this episode in a way that we haven't seen Archer as a show ever introduce an episode, where we're thrown a lot of new information that we can't really process.
Every season so far, every new season has started basically right where the previous one left off.
More or less, yeah. Or at least we're caught up to speed
or a clean start.
right away.
A clean beginning.
I mean, when I knew it was going to be a crossover episode, and we'll get into that a little bit later, I just thought it would be a brief reference to Bob's Burgers. I didn't think it would be such an integral part of the entire episode,
Right.
which was also kind of threw me for a loop, which was fun, but I was totally surprised by it.
Well, I think that that's part of the fun of this episode, though, coming into it and seeing where you just have no idea what's happening. If you watch Bob's Burgers, you have a vague idea that this is the universe that it's supposed to be taking place in. And, of course, there's the whole reference to history of violence, where I believe that's the exact same opening, or the same premise as a guy working in a restaurant, and then spies come in, and he finds that he has something deep, dark within him the whole time.
No, it was brilliant. And also, I was going to say, there was that on the chalkboard with the special for the day. It had the Thomas Ingle Elephant Stone. He's an actual like hero in a novel series from like this British author. So that was really cool that actually in one of the novels suffers amnesia. So it was like one of those really cool extra detailed things that they threw in there, which I love about the show. They always do.
And again, setting up that this is an episode all about amnesia and about finding your place in time.
Yeah, and it's really an interesting way into it because we're sort of learning about what's happened as Archer is.
I forget who said it, but someone actually said here, it's Archer has amnesia, and thus we have amnesia.
That'd be me.
I was taking credit.
Yes, definitely take credit for that.
Yeah, just take credit.
I'm going
You're the one who
to.
said it.
Good.
I
Yeah.
said it. I'm getting the credit for
And
saying
as Archer
it.
is discovering in the TV
Yes.
behind us, he has those spy skills.
He
But
knows Russian.
we do have, as you were saying, the timeline element, and we don't just see the Archer confusion with the timeline. We also find out that Mallory, somewhere along the line, got married. And something that I guess that seems to be what triggered this whole event. And we still don't know exactly what happened. We just know he took a limo.
Yeah.
And we don't know what happened after that caused it, which would supposedly be more. But Cheryl's kind of going off the handle. So I mean, it seems like there's a lot of things that we're going to catch up to speed on.
Yeah, we're behind a little bit now as the audience, which has not happened, I think.
Yeah, that's a rarity that the audience knows less than the actual characters involved in the show. I think in most shows that's pretty rare. What I will give Adam Reed kudos for, though, is that it's pretty seamless as far as establishing an entire episode where we know nothing about what's happened so far. You're shocked, and then you're given just enough information to get along to process and say, well, I can at least see where this is going for the immediate future.
I also want to point out that the second they said he had psychoactive retrograde amnesia, I was like, he saw his mom getting bonked. That's exactly what happened.
That would
He
probably
couldn't
do it.
handle
I was kind of wondering, like, I was wishing they'd like show a little clip of like what Woodhouse is doing during all of this. Like now that Archer's out of the picture,
That
for
would be
the
great.
2 months that he's not there.
He is just listening to a lot of Mingus.
Yeah, he's hanging out with his lemur. They're shooting dope and listening to Mingus, which is what I've been doing for the past 2 months.
I love the little shot of the Dicky tattoo he had. Too.
Yes, that was great too. I noticed that.
I wrote that
really
down.
funny.
I put a little
I did
star
too.
next to it.
It was great.
I said tattoo continuity, and good for you, Archer, for keeping up with that.
My question is, or the question I would love to have answered about that is, how does Bob explain that tattoo? How does Archer as Bob explain that there's a tattoo on his left shoulder that says Dickie and on his right shoulder that says Seamus?
The wee baby Seamus.
I mean, here's something I'm kind of curious about. I guess if we're going to talk a little bit about the Bob's Burgers thing with that, is so what happened to Bob then? For those of you who watched the show, what happened to Bob?
You know,
I mean, it was fun seeing the actual voice actor for Linda. That was pretty cool. That was the original voice actress for Linda.
That's a dude, voice actor.
Oh, is it a voice actor who does it? Okay, thank you for clarifying for me. But it was nice to see that it was the same voice, and then also, you know what was fun for me, because I did watch Bob's Burgers, was seeing the art style of Archer for those characters. That was pretty cool to see too.
That was a really funny moment for me. Just Gene as like a more realistically animated person is hilarious.
Yeah, that was well done.
I'm
But
really,
more importantly, what happened to Bob?
well, I think I haven't seen too many episodes of Bob's Burgers, but does it take place over a long period of time?
No.
Because if
Pretty self-contained, yeah.
hypothetically Bob's Burgers takes place within 2 months, Archer is Bob.
Ooh.
No, but we know Bob Belcher is the father of,
I guess.
because his we'll get into this in a bit. First,
I think
you folks hear this iTunes thing?
this iTunes, everyone's ranting and raving about it. I don't know. Is it some sort of a fruit cup? Like what?
I will explain to you what it is, Greg Goodness. It is a player for media, digital media, on computer and cellular devices and other things. I don't know what to call an iPod.
What
I'm
a
sorry.
novel and fun idea that those people at Apple have come up with. If only there was some sort of way that you could, like, I don't know,
Maybe if you could put
rate
on, like
the
a mobile
content.
device or something. I don't know.
Oh, that's right.
If you could maybe just like rate the content that you hear on
Well,
this magical service,
And that would be especially terrific if they had a service, a specific function in their service for listening to, say, 4 assholes talk about their favorite TV show.
5.
5 assholes.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm an asshole, and get
I
used to
didn't
it.
want to make a judgment call about you.
John, we've done South Park once. You should know I'm an asshole.
But let's say you want to do that. They have this little area in their store called the podcast app I think. And you can find our podcast on there. And if you want to do us a little bit of a favor, rate and comment on our little thing, and tell us what we're doing.
Holy hole in a donut.
It does keep the lights on,
keeps
as
the
it
lights
were.
on.
If
And
you tell us what we're doing, you tell us that we're doing okay, that we're doing not
Yes.
so okay. Just tell us what you think. That's the important thing.
Just tell us that you really like us, though. That's
Right.
Also, tell us we're pretty.
Especially if you're only listening. But I do want to also throw out there that we do a live show. We do have a live show at 9:30 p.m. And guys, I'll actually be on the live chat. So if you guys want to come on to the live chat while we're doing the show, 9:30 p.m. Pacific time. I believe that's noon 30 a.m. I guess you want to call that noon. Midnight 30 a.m. East Coast time. If you want to come chime in on the live chat, I'll have the chat open and I'll read off your comments if you have comments that you want to comment in on, and we can have a little interaction.
It's a beautiful, rare opportunity. Dave is a recluse. Dave has never opened his doors in 30 years.
He had so much trouble straining his vocal cords to make words for the first time in years.
I actually had to get driven here.
Yeah. It's
I don't know, that's a little known fact.
with sticks.
crazy how bad his muscles have atrophied.
You don't
Just
want
look
to
at
see.
him. Just
You
look
don't
at
want to
him.
see.
And also, tell your friends about us.
Do it. We just
Do it.
that's
You
all we
won't. Do it. You won't.
And for those watching on the live chat, they can see John making out with the head of the tin goose right now.
ask. So horrifying. It's quite a sight to behold. You should all check it
Welcome,
out.
guys.
It looks so weird.
All right.
Oh, sorry. All right.
Let's move on
So,
here.
as we've been sort of hinting at, Sterling Archer has a little bit of an identity crisis going
Where does
on.
one end and where does the other begin?
Who is Bob and who is Sterling? Also, did Linda just marry him because he sounds exactly like Bob?
Hey,
For
listen.
those of you unaware, Bob's Burgers is a fantastic animated program in Fox's Sunday animation night thing. It was originally a replacement for King of the Hill. And John Benjamin is the voice of Bob Belcher, the guy who runs the
protagonist of
protagonist
Bob's Burgers.
and restaurateur behind the eponymous restaurant from the show.
You keep struggling there, buddy. You get out those
Using
words.
some
I've
big
had, like,
words, though. He's using big words. I think
6 hours of sleep all week.
That's right.
And so, as we sort of mentioned, we go into the established world of Bob's Burgers, which is a detailed, bizarre world, very different from Archer's. Not to say that they're not both bizarre and detailed, but they are bizarre and detailed in incredibly different ways. And I think Archer nailed it. Like, I think Archer, Bob's Burgers Archer style.
I mean, he does have the mustache.
Yeah, he does have a great.
And that's the
he was
important
rocking
thing.
That mustache
That is the
there,
most
too.
important
That's
part.
There's actually an entire episode of Bob's Burgers dedicated to Bob needing to shave off his mustache and not wanting to.
Yeah.
Very intricate, important part to his character. So it's great to see Archer with that mustache.
I think I feel what you're saying, though, where at the start of this episode, it's very clear that this is not the Archer we've come to know and love. This is someone who is taking responsibility for kids, number one, kids that aren't his, number two, and also working.
Yeah.
So this
Good
is
point.
something very strange. And we've sort of had this weird journey where Archer builds himself up, tears himself down, builds himself up, tears himself down over the past couple of seasons. Never before have we seen it happen in such rapid succession over the course of one episode.
Yeah,
where by the end he's literally just tweaking out and stumbling around talking about how he needs to get to the store to buy lettuce.
Cheddar.
Yeah.
Chatter, I apologize. I didn't take clear enough notes.
Seriously, what is wrong with you, Greg?
I couldn't transcribe fast
But
enough.
what we can mention, though, that the first thing that really brings him to figuring back to who he is again is the Russians come into Bob's Burgers and start shooting him up. And if somehow, and we find out later, but somehow figured out who the hell Archer is and are trying to kill him. And he basically takes a spatula and stabs it straight through a dude's neck, which is the best thing in the entire episode.
Yeah, there was a moment where I was like, wait, is the crossover that they've confused Sterling Archer with Bob Belcher.
I really thought it was just gonna be like when they did that as the intro. I thought maybe it was just gonna be a joke type of thing. I didn't know they were gonna take it through the whole episode
I
that
agree.
way.
I thought that was just the beginning, and then it was just gonna move on, and that was it. It was a nice little tie-in with Bob.
Well, what I was gonna get at is until he stabbed someone in the neck with a spatula, I was like, whoa, maybe he is Bob, and like the Archer in the Archer universe, Bob, who is ugly in the Bob's Burgers universe, supposedly, is just he looks like Archer.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I thought it was just gonna be a crossover in that sense, where it's just like, okay, this is fun because it's the same voice actor, but then they did an entire storyline out of it.
And how weird is it that everyone in this episode is trying to get Archer to remember who he is, which is a horrible, horrible person. It's like,
well, Ray doesn't want to do it.
Right.
Yeah, Ray's the only person who like hates him for the good reasons. Oh, and then Barry also hates him.
Yeah,
but-
but Ray doesn't. Ray wants to kill him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like he's actively working to make him dead.
Well, he is finally actually paralyzed.
Yeah,
Which is, well, all right, he's paralyzed, so that
he has a
came
reason
too.
to be pissed off. But I mean, that's the thing is Archer is, even though everyone wants to hate him, he's still lovable, and he still has that sense about him that he's not a bad guy, like doing on purpose to be a bad douchebag.
Right. It's
He's a lovable douchebag.
Pretty sure the guy with his face in boiling oil would beg to differ on that one.
I'm also sure the guy he's
That's
dropped
his
off
job.
of. I'm also sure the guy
That's
he's
his
dropped
job.
off 2 buildings.
That's his job.
Yeah, I think that you just made a very good point that even though we're training Archer again to be a jerk and to be a horrible, horrible person, we're still getting to that ultimate, hey, you have sort of a sweet side. There's something redeemable about you. Namely, when Lana and him are about to be killed behind the bar, and then all of a sudden you're jumping towards, hey, I'm going to be the one who actually saves us and gets this out of the situation. So it's not just a loving Archer, it's also a needing
him.
Archer situation.
And it was fun to see too. I don't know. I was kind of curious. Lana decided to kiss him at that one point, which she really didn't need to do. I mean, she was just trying to. I know she was trying to play off the there's Russian spies. Let's distract them
Do you
somehow.
think,
but
she would have done it to help him remember too, because they had it from their past, like maybe somehow.
I think it was.
It was to interrupt his train of thought. He was being too smart. Like, wait, why are we at the same spa? Why are you here and I'm here? Wait, what's going on? Kiss me, they're Russians.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to bring up too is Pam. There is the whole relationship thing that did carry out through the season last season that was kind of dropped at this point. I mean, he is going through the identity crisis, so clearly he wouldn't remember who Pam is. But you have to. I'm wondering if they're going to bring that back up again.
I'd love to see that explored again.
Yeah.
And actually,
that's a
you're
good point.
touching on something interesting here,
point.
which is that we spend a lot of time focusing on Archer here, but there's a lot of information that's thrown at us about the gang, as it were, sort of our ancillary, secondary characters. Whole lot of stuff going on. First off, big development. We knew it last season, but it's confirmed this season. Ray Gillette permanently crippled, or at least permanent in the sense that he's not faking it anymore.
Or is he faking it again?
That's what I was gonna say. Or dun dun dun, you don't know. That's
I say this
assuming.
every time it comes up, and I will say it forever. I am so glad that this was such a Krieger-heavy episode.
There was a quick line in this episode about Krieger. I don't know if you guys caught it right.
Scraped from Hitler's.
Scraped from Hitler's drawers.
Yeah.
He's a clone of Hitler.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love it.
He's one of the boys from Brazil.
Oh, there is another thing with Krieger that was very random.
Yeah,
that I caught. He randomly had a pig.
Baby pig that he puts in his pocket.
Yeah, that was his introduction. Walks out with a pig and puts it in his pocket.
Pigly.
I'm going to have to correct you there. I don't think it's a baby pig. A baby pig implies that it was at one point sort of alive or a healthy piglet. That was a pig fetus that he had.
As someone who had to dissect a pig fetus in middle school, that's not a pig fetus.
I think that was an oversized pig fetus. I'm going to say because,
Also, pig fetuses are like this big.
And he was able to fit into a pocket.
I'm glad I don't know
know.
that.
It's like I've
but
learned
thank you,
so much
John.
already. I've learned
Classic
today.
crap.
That's good to know.
Yeah, you're
We're
all
learning
welcome.
so many
File away
things
in my head
tonight.
there.
But yeah, this was a Krieger-heavy episode, which is always great. I'm right on board with you there. Didn't really get to see too much more from Krieger other than what we've come to know and love, but
he's a lot more serious this time too. It seems like he's taking this weird role seriously a little more.
Yeah, he's
as opposed to just like effing around in the office.
Well, when Cyril makes fun of him, it's like, yeah, like some fake scientist, and he's just like, well, what are your parents' names? Did you operate him? Oh, you don't remember?
Did you drug me? Oh, you don't remember? Memory is such a fragile thing.
He's, I think they're trying to set him up as coming into his own as a character, not just this weird one-line guy you see, once or twice. This is Krieger starting to be a major player in these episodes.
Yes.
Also a major player in this episode, Carol Cheryl, the famous tunt, as it were. Who
doesn't own the hotel chain they were staying at? Great.
Though, to be fair, she has billions and billions of dollars. I can't imagine it would actually
No,
be
she's
a
worth
problem.
Confused easily. It's
she's worth $5 billion, right? Is that what they said? But she got $500 million when her parents died.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything is all wrapped up in the trust funds and such.
Right.
But she is just spending liberally on LSD gummy bears. Here's something I didn't quite understand. Has Cheryl Carroll snapped? Is that what the end of that episode is? Or is this just her in a bad LSD trip?
I think it's just a bad
I think
LSD
it was the bad
trip.
trip too. I agree.
I also, I mean, they established pretty early on that she's been getting dosed by Krieger for a very long time on LSD. So I'm actually going to go with snapped because I imagine like long-term LSD abuse by Krieger on her. And I think
has to have some permanent effects to it.
Yeah, I think she's finally cracked.
She's already batshit crazy.
Yeah.
She already is. So.
Like, what did she say in the mud bat? Like, it's the only thing that gets me up in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She was acting especially crazy during the entire scene where they're getting the massage and everything, and she's like, "You're fired." No, you're not fired. You're district, or you're going to be the GM. And then she realizes that the entire time she never actually owned the hotel chain, which she thought she did, so now they have to pay.
That just seems like the LSD. I don't know if she's actually cracked. She ate so many LSD gummy bears to see the ostrich at the end. I can see that.
Well,
exactly.
Well, I don't think she's snapped
permanently.
No, I think she snapped because of LSD.
Yeah.
I think she
Well,
went. I think she just got it. Got all MK Ultra, and she's permanently disabled by it.
She'd be less crazy without it. But yeah, I think it was just a bad trip. And then of course they kept having that thread about her talking about ostriches the whole time.
I love
at the beginning there.
that
So
ostrich.
the fact she kept mentioning it kind of made sense that therefore at the end she would see it. So
She does kind of eat glue and stuff like that though too.
There's a lot of weird chemicals running through her bloodstream. And she's a rich, crazy person.
And she's been hit in the head enough times, too.
And denied oxygen a whole lot of times.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
She's
Yeah,
into
that's
the
a good one.
choking, as I seem to recall.
Giggity.
So I guess we should also touch on the whole Archer, though, because throughout this entire time, we have the whole scene where the KGB come back, and the crew are being the fake KGB. And then as they're trying to trick them and just kind of bring Archer's memory back, what do you know? The real KGB show up, and Archer and Lana have to go into their actual element. Archer being confused the entire time.
It's so great. It's such a well-constructed thing.
It's a well-constructed episode.
Yeah, it was really, 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 really.
It all syncs together really well, which, again, to sort of tie it back to what we were talking about at the top of the episode, really hard to do when you're not giving your audience all the information that they need.
I really like that, and I hope that we get a lot of that throughout the season because it's fun having that discovery. It's also something different for this show because it is now in its 4th season, and a lot of shows tend to start getting stagnant at this point. So it is fun that they're trying to do something
it's a good
new
way to
with
keep
it.
it, freshen it up, and
I think,
switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, and I think one thing that they're starting to do. One, I feel like not that I watch a whole lot of Breaking Bad, but I get the sense that he's been watching a whole lot of Breaking Bad because I feel like this feels like the way Breaking Bad. This felt like the way the episodes I've watched of Breaking Bad feels like in the way that it's writing yourself into a corner and then having to write yourself out. the next time.
With lots of surprises in
Yeah,
store,
I'm
hopefully.
super. I also think they've sort of set up an internal arc in this season with the Barry thing.
Right,
Which,
which is great.
you know.
The return of Barry, always good to see. So, guys.
So we have, he's still stuck. Well, we have Ray in the wheelchair. I like the. He's getting some mileage out of that. every time he's mentioned the wheelchair.
Yeah, it's funny how like everybody was so against Ray. Every time that Ray would open his mouth, everybody was like, "Shut up, Ray!" Like,
Well, he was
the way they were
faking it the entire time. So I'd have to imagine he's lost a lot of that sympathy.
And we go from an Auschwitz joke straight to the Hitler joke.
Yes.
Oh God, that's. All right, so stray observations. I have a lot of lines from this episode written down because they were really funny.
Let's hear it.
Let's see. Oh, this was not so much a line, but a really funny moment. When Lana punches Archer into the wall, and he says, "I think you literally broke my heart." And we hear in the background Krieger go, "Aw." And then he does it again on some other line.
Several other occasions.
Oh, it was
he
great.
Says, "Aw." Beautiful, beautiful little aw.
Also, Archer basically realizing who he is because he pounds a whole thing of Irish cream.
Sticker that I remember.
And the pan to the head, which is a nice Flintstones callback to earlier in the episode. When all else fails, go to the Flintstones.
I think my... Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say one of my favorite lines in the episode was something that we didn't touch on, which we also should touch on, which is during the scene where we find out that Mallory, yes, did in fact get married, and that was what drove Archer off, where he took a limo, and we don't know what's happened after the limo, and I think we will find out in coming episodes. I love when Mallory goes, "Son of a bitch," and I don't know who it was, but they just go, it was Pam who goes, "Your words." It was great. It was brilliant.
I think my favorite part is "your words," and then immediately throws a thing of rice right into her face.
Oh yeah.
And I'm assuming they'll go into more of how she met this man and why they got married too, because that was just kind of left to us. You know, so I'm assuming they'll tell us more and fill us in.
Yeah,
in
definitely.
episodes
That's
as well.
something I'm.
Yeah, and he does show up at the end and kind of have.
So they're
seems
still
like a good
married.
guy. Yeah.
Oh, also latex gimp suit.
Yes. Do you prefer cornstarch or baby powder?
I am a cornstarch guy.
You're a cornstarch guy.
Greg knows firsthand.
Ooh.
Staunch believer. Staunch believer in the starch.
What about Scott? You got any favorite lines?
Well, you already brought it up already. That was definitely my favorite line. I was more noticing some of the visual observations, like when she had her boobs covered too.
You noticed her boobs moving.
And I noticed that. I was like, that was great too. Like I noticed the visual things a lot, and like the little details, like on the chalkboard special and her boobs, and then having them covered with what was the old man's name? Not Abercrombie, but whatever it was called.
I think it was Old Abercrombie.
Was
I was trying to
like
figure
that,
out what Ray Gillette was drinking, and I think it's Old Abercrombie.
That was so great. Like I love those type of visual little details that they throw in for us all the time, which is great.
Yeah,
it's definitely one of those shows you go back and watch again, just for things like that.
Yeah.
I got like 3 things I want to like throw out there real quick.
Throw them out there.
All right, just look bored for a while, guys, while I do this. Okay, I got to throw out the Shazam references they did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Where he just drops, he's like, Michael Gray!
Dangers. Oh my God, Michael Gray.
And then he jumps over the bar, grabbing Lana. Shazam! We got that, and then I definitely want to throw out the where is it? Oh my God, I hate it when I lose my place. The buckle when she hits him in the face with the purse from first season. Yeah. What's in your purse? It's a bunch of buckles. What do you have in there?
A bunch of spa buckles.
Spa buckles.
Yeah.
And then mind brain.
Oh yeah. Shut up. That's a thing.
It's messing up your mind brain. Jennifer Walters, alter ego of the She-Hulk. And then telling Ray he needs to join the support group for crippled gay hillbilly spies.
It's a niche.
It's a niche.
On that note, also calling Ray Ironsides. I really enjoy.
Burn.
Yeah. Also the recurrence of burn.
Yeah.
Also, I kind of like it when you just cut off people with
It's a good way to silence someone. Effectively cut them off, shut it down, and then insert a She-Hulk reference. It's a good way to do things.
And the health inspector's coming tomorrow. Better
get
bust out the purple stuff.
Purple stuff always works.
All right, I'm sufficiently out of out of stuff. Sorry, guys.
I think we've strained
We
our
hashed the
strengths.
whole episode.
Sorry.
We basically just recited the whole episode, so there you
That's
go.
what I do.
Well, hey, if we've run out of this episode, then I think we got some stuff to talk about over the coming seasons in this news and gossip section.
Let's do.
What a segue.
Bam!
AfterBuzz TV News.
I feel like the explosion got louder, and I'm all for it. All right, so this news and gossip section comes to us from the good people at Star Pulse. They did a coverage of basically Adam Reed and the cast and crew of Archer went around the country and did something called Archer Live. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't lucky enough to get a ticket. I know, John, you weren't lucky enough to get it. No one in this room was lucky enough to get a ticket because
I was actually dead that day.
At least in LA, it sold out, I think, within minutes of actually going up. But, like I said, these good people at Star Pulse did.
Is that a fart
coverage-
noise for selling out? I'm just.
It's farts.
Okay.
All right.
It's farts.
They were able to do a coverage of one of these events, and they dropped a lot of good spoilers at this event. First off, we know now that Mallory has gotten married, but we also know that that's going to be expanded on in another episode. It's going to be called Midnight Ron, as in Midnight Run, but with the guy's name being Ron.
What a great
This
movie
guy's
too.
smart.
I'll be excited to see that one.
This guy's smart.
We know at some point during the season, probably around the third episode, Krieger is going to try to give Ray Gillette robotic legs, and that is going to terrify Archer
Frisky Dingo.
because of his fear of cyborgs.
I bet
which is
Ray's gonna love
understandable.
that.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would. Cyborg legs running around, that's awesome.
But Greg, tell them the best part. Tell them the best part.
The best part? Well, there are actually two best parts.
Tell them both best parts.
Okay. Krieger, we're going to get to see animated. This might be as a DVD special feature, but we're going to get to see Krieger animated as a tentacle monster, and he has an interaction with his Japanese digital girlfriend.
Oh no.
So
Okay.
I'll let our audience connect the dots. A tentacle monster and a
Anime
Japanese
girl.
digital. Yes.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
You've seen enough to know what that goes.
All
You know
right.
what it is.
All right.
And the best of all, guys, best of all, this was not included in the Star Pulse article.
Let
but
me throw this up here.
AfterBuzz TV exclusive.
It's in fairness, anyone who saw Archer live got this information.
But now you're getting it. We
But
had
you
a
didn't.
plant.
Yes.
We had a plant inside the audience, and he was able to tell us and confirm this season finale. Cover your ears if you don't want to hear about it. Season finale taking place in C Lab.
Windows just started up. Thanks to that.
Everyone in here had Windows 95 start up on their phones.
Right when that happened.
Immediately.
That's how interesting that news is.
But you guys all, I'm sure, are familiar with Adam Reed's previous work, C Lab 2021. We are returning back to that original series. Archer is swimming under the sea. If you're looking for me,
If you're
under
looking
the
for me.
sea.
This seems to be the season of crossovers because first Bob's Burgers and now with what you just mentioned, if people
Right.
just tune back in who don't want to hear. But I'm wondering how many crossovers they're going to throw in because maybe it'll be even
billion.
more.
How many?
Oh my God!
This
Will
is a good-
Killface show up?
This is a good place to talk about what we think is coming up in a little section we like to call Play That Spooky Theremin Music.
Now, your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
Did we all just do really bad theremin impressions?
Yes, we did.
Sure.
Okay, predict something.
DJ there. DJ.
Predict something.
I think that we are going to actually see those robotic legs get installed all up in Ray Gillette. I don't think he can stay wheelchair bound forever. Not that I have anything opposed to that, but I think that we're probably going to get him up and moving again.
I think same thing. I think they're gonna have jet boots and GPS in them.
I think, and we didn't mention this, but Ray, who we saw at the end of the episode, who's still after Archer, he is going to still be a main
Get
antagonist.
Barry.
Or Barry, thank you. Now, yeah, well, Ray's gonna hate Archer too. No, so Barry, thank you. Barry's gonna be a main antagonist, and I think it would be pretty legend if we get to see even more crossovers. And Watchtower Base, that was for you from the live chat.
And I was going to say we're going to see more antics of Cheryl Carroll this year. And she's not going to be quite on the edge, but she's going to be an integral part of what's going on this season, too, I think, with some of her craziness.
I also think Pam's going to come back to the Pam Archer relationship. I do think they will come back and explore what happened to that or bring it back in some sort of fashion.
Rock and roll.
What do you got for us?
I
Predict
think when
something.
they're gonna put the robotic legs on Ray, and that's what, the 4th episode of the season or something
I
like
think
that.
around the 3rd.
Yeah, I think they're gonna put the robotic legs on Ray. I think Archer's gonna find some way to break them, and then he's gonna be in a wheelchair with robotic legs for the rest of the season.
I like where your head's at, man. This guy. I like how he thinks.
All right.
Make out with that
Is
duck.
that-
Make out with it. Do it. Yeah.
Everyone, where can you be found on the internet and such?
I'm at Generic Maverick on the Twitters.
I am at Dugan Barrett on the Twitters.
And guys, you can find me at the Dave Klein. That's Klein, or my website djk-online.com.
And you can find me on Twitter at sman80, sman80.
And you can find me
Yeah.
at Stephen Lemieux, at StephenLemieux. And yes.
All right, folks, that wraps us up for this evening. Catch us next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you
Later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.